The alien ship moved through space like a ghost. No human eyes could see it. No human machines could find it. Commander Zextal stood on the bridge of his vessel and watched the blue planet grow larger on his screen. "Sir, we are now in scanning range," said his science officer. The young alien's skin showed the purple marks of his rank. "Beginning deep scan of the third planet." Zextal nodded. He had done this many times before. The Catherian Empire sent ships like his to find new worlds. They looked for planets with life. They looked for planets with things the Empire needed. Most times, they found nothing useful. Sometimes, they found gold. "What do the scanners show?" Zextal asked. The science officer touched his control panel. Numbers and pictures appeared on the main screen. "The planet has life, sir. Intelligent life. But they are very simple." Zextal moved closer to look at the data. The planet's people had built cities. They had machines. They could fly in the air and even leave their world. But their technology was basic. Very basic. "They use chemical rockets," the science officer said. "Their computers are slow. They still burn fossil fuels for energy. Their weapons are simple, explosives, and metal projectiles." "Any space defenses?" Zextal asked. "None that we can detect, sir. They have some small satellites. Nothing that could hurt our ships." Zextal smiled. This was exactly what the Empire wanted to hear. A planet with resources and people, but no real way to fight back. The humans would make good workers. Their planet had metals and water the Empire needed. "Send a probe closer," he ordered. "I want to be sure." Far below on Earth, Colonel Jake Morrison sat in his office deep under a mountain in Colorado. The room was filled with screens and computers. His team worked around him, watching the skies for threats that might come from space. "Sir, we're getting some strange readings," said Lisa Campbell. She was the best radar operator Morrison had ever worked with. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she studied the displays. Morrison walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" "Gravity waves," Lisa said. "Very small ones. They keep appearing and disappearing near the edge of our solar system." Rick Powell looked up from his communication station. "Could be solar wind interference," he said. "We've seen that before?" Morrison frowned. He had been watching space for 20 years. He knew the difference between natural events and something else. These readings felt different, wrong somehow. "Keep monitoring," he told Lisa. "Log everything." In another part of the facility, Dr. Amy Chen stared at her computer screen. She was not military like the others. She was a scientist who studied space. The government had asked her to work here, but they never told her exactly why. The data on her screen showed background radiation from deep space. Most of it was normal. The universe was full of radiation from stars and other natural things. But for the past 3 days, she had seen patterns in the data. Patterns that looked artificial. Amy picked up her phone and called Morrison's office. "Colonel, I need to show you something." "I'm busy right now, Doctor," Morrison said. "Can it wait?" "I don't think so," Amy said. "I'm seeing signs that something is out there, something that doesn't belong." Morrison was quiet for a moment. "I'll be right there." Above Earth, the Catherian probe moved closer to the planet. Its scanners looked at everything. Military bases, cities, factories, space stations. The probe recorded it all and sent the data back to Zextal's ship. The commanders studied the new information with satisfaction. The humans had weapons, but they were primitive. Their fastest ships could barely reach their own moon. Their largest bombs could destroy a city, but not much more. "Send a report to Fleet Admiral Korath," Zextal ordered. "Tell him we have found a category to civilization. Rich resources, useful population, minimal threat." The science officer's fingers moved over his controls. "Message sent, sir. The Admiral should receive it within the hour." Zextal looked at the blue planet one last time. Soon, it would belong to the Empire. The humans living there had no idea what was coming. They thought they were alone in the universe. They thought their small world was safe. They were wrong. In his underground office, Morrison studied Amy's data. The patterns she had found were subtle. Most people would miss them completely. But Amy was right. Something was creating artificial signals in space. "How long have you been seeing this?" Morrison asked. 3 days, Amy said. "Maybe longer. I only noticed the pattern yesterday." Morrison felt a cold feeling in his stomach. For years, people in the government had told stories. Stories about visitors from other worlds. Stories about crashed ships and hidden technology. Morrison had always thought they were just stories. Now he was not so sure. "I want you to keep this quiet," Morrison told Amy. "Don't talk to anyone about it, not even the other scientists." Amy looked confused. Why? If there's something out there, shouldn't people know? Morrison thought about all the secret reports he had read, all the classified meetings he had attended, all the things the public was never told about. "There are procedures for this kind of thing," he said finally. "Let me make some calls." After Amy left, Morrison sat alone in his office. He picked up a special phone that connected to the most secret parts of the government. The phone that he hoped he would never have to use. "This is Morrison," he said when someone answered. "I think we have a situation. Far out in space, Fleet Admiral Korath received Zexthal's report." The massive alien sat in his command chair aboard the largest warship in the Catherian fleet. Around him, hundreds of other ships waited for his orders. Korath read the report twice. Then he smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Earth would be easy to conquer. The humans had no idea what real technology looked like. They had no idea what was coming for them. "Prepare the fleet," Korath commanded. "We leave for the human world in 6 standard cycles." His officers began sending orders to the other ships. Soon, the greatest invasion force in Catherian history would be on its way to Earth. The humans had been scanned. They had been measured. They had been found wanting. The aliens had no way of knowing that their scanners had missed the most important thing about humanity. They had no way of knowing that Earth was not as defenseless as it appeared. They had no way of knowing that the humans had been waiting for them. 6 months passed like a bad dream. The strange signals that Dr. Amy Chen had found disappeared as quickly as they had come. Colonel Morrison filed his reports and waited. The secret phone calls led to meetings with people whose names he could not say. They told him to watch and wait. Then the sky changed. The Catherian fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. 200 massive warships appeared where empty space had been moments before. Each ship was the size of a city. They carried weapons that could burn planets and armies of soldiers, ready for war. Fleet Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the small yellow star ahead of them. Somewhere near that star was a blue planet full of primitive creatures who thought they were safe. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his communications officer. "Excellent," Korath said. "Maintain stealth fields. I want complete surprise when we reach their world." The alien fleet began its journey toward Earth. Their ships moved faster than anything humans had ever built. Their weapons charged with power that could crack moons. They expected to reach Earth in 3 days. On Earth, deep space monitoring stations around the world suddenly went crazy. Computers that watched for asteroids and comets started showing impossible readings. Gravity sensors that measured the pull of distant planets began screaming warnings. At the Cheyenne Mountain facility, alarms rang for the first time in 20 years. Lisa Campbell stared at her screens in shock. "Colonel Morrison, you need to see this right now?" Morrison ran to her station. What he saw there made his blood turn cold. "How many? 200 contacts, sir? Maybe more? They're big. Really big." Rick Powell looked up from his communication board. "Sir, I'm getting emergency calls from tracking stations all over the world. Everyone is seeing the same thing." Morrison grabbed his secure phone. He knew this call would change everything. This is Morrison. The visitors are here. I repeat, the visitors are here. 48 hours later, every government on Earth received the same message. It came through their most secure communication systems. It came in every major language. The voice that spoke was clearly not human. People of Earth, the alien voice, said, I am Fleet Admiral Korath of the Catherian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Your governments will order all military forces to stand down. Your people will prepare for processing and relocation. The message continued with threats of total destruction if humanity did not obey. When it ended, the world's leaders sat in stunned silence. In Washington, President Amanda Hayes called an emergency meeting of her closest advisors. They gathered in a room deep beneath the White House, the room that most of her own staff did not know existed. How bad is it? She asked General Pete Rodriguez. Rodriguez was a man who had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard as steel. They have us outnumbered in space, Madam President. But numbers are not everything. Can we fight them? Rodriguez smiled for the first time in days. Madam President, I think it's time you learned what we've really been doing for the past 50 years. He pressed a button on the table. The wall lit up with images that no civilian had ever seen. Pictures of underground facilities that stretched for miles. Weapons that looked like science fiction. Ships that could travel between the stars. My God, President Hayes whispered. How long have you known? Since 1973, Rodriguez said. That's when the first scout ship crashed in Nevada. We've been reverse engineering their technology ever since. We've been building. We've been preparing. The president stared at the images. Why wasn't I told about this? Because some secrets are too dangerous to share, Rodriguez said. Even with presidents. But now it's time to act. I need you to give me authorization to activate the Prometheus project. President Hayes thought about the millions of people looking to her for protection. She thought about the children who would never grow up if she made the wrong choice. She thought about humanity's future among the stars. The garden needs tending, she said quietly. Rodriguez nodded. Those were the code words he had been waiting to hear for 30 years, across the globe. The real defenders of Earth began to wake up, in a submarine hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. Captain Beth Adams received an encrypted message that made her smile grimly. For 15 years, she had commanded a vessel that officially did not exist. Her crew thought they were testing new underwater systems for the Navy. They were wrong. All hands to battle stations, Adams announced over the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. Prepare to surface and engage orbital targets. Her crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this moment without knowing what they were training for. Now the truth was about to be revealed. At NASA headquarters, Captain Roy Tucker walked into a meeting room filled with scientists and engineers. On the wall was a display showing the approaching alien fleet. Ladies and gentlemen, Tucker said, you all signed papers saying you would never talk about what you worked on here. Today you're going to find out why. He pressed a control, and the display changed. Instead of showing empty space around Earth, it now showed a network of hidden defense platforms, weapons disguised as old satellites, missile launchers built into asteroids, energy cannons hidden on the dark side of the moon. Solar Shield Protocol is now active, Tucker announced. We are about to show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of. In Colorado, Dr. Helen Barnes stood in a facility that was larger than most cities. The Prometheus project had been her life's work for 25 years. Around her, scientists and engineers from around the world worked at stations filled with technology that combined human engineering with alien science. Bring all systems online, she ordered. It's time to defend our home. Deep in the facility, massive reactors came to life. Reactors that used principles the aliens thought only they understood. Weapon systems that improved on alien technology in ways their original builders never imagined. Colonel Morrison stood in his command center and watched as Earth's true defenses revealed themselves. The mountain facility around him transformed before his eyes. Walls slid away to show weapon systems. Floors opened to reveal launch bays. The simple tracking station became what it had always secretly been, the command center for humanity's defense. "Lisa, bring up the tactical display," Morrison ordered. Lisa Campbell's fingers moved over controls that had been hidden behind false panels for decades. Her radar station became a war room console that could track every ship in the solar system. "Rick, open communication channels to all defense platforms," Morrison said. Rick Powell activated systems that connected him to secret bases on 6 different worlds. "All stations reporting ready, sir." Morrison looked at the display showing the approaching alien fleet. They still thought Earth was helpless. They still believed their scanners had seen everything worth seeing. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Korath studied the reports from his scouts. The human world showed no signs of preparing for battle. No ships had left their ports. No weapons had been moved into position. The creatures were apparently too shocked to even try to defend themselves. "Pathetic," Korath said to his officers. "Begin the attack. Target their major population centers first. Once they see our power, they will surrender quickly." The alien fleet moved into Earth's orbital space, their weapons charged for the first strike. They prepared to show humanity the price of defying the Catherian Empire. They had no idea that humanity was ready for them. The first wave of Catherian fighters screamed toward Earth like angry hornets. 100 sleek alien craft, each one armed with weapons that could level a city block. They moved faster than any human jet had ever flown. Their pilots were confident this would be easy. Admiral Korath watched from his flagship as the attack began. "Target their capitals," he ordered. "Destroy their government centers. Show them we mean business." The alien fighters dove through Earth's atmosphere, their weapons charging with deadly energy. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, all were marked for destruction. The pilots prepared to fire on the helpless cities below. Then something impossible happened. Human fighters rose to meet them. Squadron leader, Tony Garcia, pulled his craft into a sharp climb that should have killed him. The G-forces should have crushed his body. But his ship's gravity systems, built from alien technology that humans had improved, kept him safe. "All right, people," Garcia said into his radio. "Time to show these visitors what Earth hospitality looks like." Behind him, 30 other human fighters climbed toward the aliens. They moved with speed and grace that defied everything the Catherians thought they knew about human technology. These were not the chemical rockets their scanners had detected. These ships used engines that bent space itself. The alien pilots stared in shock as the human craft approached. "This is impossible," one of them said. "They don't have this technology." "Neither did we, until we made it better," Garcia replied, somehow speaking in the aliens' own language. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Catherians had ever seen. Human fighters danced around alien craft like they were standing still. Weapons that should have been decades beyond human science tore through alien shields like paper. In his underground command center, Colonel Morrison watched the battle through cameras mounted on the human fighters. Lisa Campbell called out target information, while Rick Powell coordinated with other defense stations around the world. "Sir, we have incoming missiles from the alien capital ships," Lisa reported. Morrison nodded. "Dr. Barnes, are your orbital platforms ready?" From her facility in Colorado, Dr. Helen Barnes watched her life's work come alive. Around Earth's orbit, dozens of objects that looked like old satellites and space junk suddenly revealed their true purpose. Massive energy weapons unfolded from hidden compartments. Power cores that used alien fusion technology began to glow. "Orbital defense grid is online," Barnes said. "Beginning interceptor fire." Beams of pure energy lanced out from Earth's hidden defenses. The alien missiles, designed to survive anything a primitive planet could throw at them, simply vanished. One by one, they were destroyed before they could reach their targets. On his flagship, Admiral Korath felt something he had not experienced in 50 years of conquest: fear. How are they doing this? He demanded from his science officers. Our scanners showed primitive technology, chemical rockets, basic computers. His chief scientists stared at the battle data streaming in from their fighters. Sir, they appear to have combined our technology with their own principles. The results are superior to our own systems. Korath's face darkened with rage. Impossible. No species has ever improved on Catherian technology. Perhaps that was the problem, sir, the scientist said quietly. The battle continued to rage as more human defenses revealed themselves. Captain Beth Adams surfaced her submarine in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The vessel looked normal from above, but appearances were deceiving. Target the alien command ship, Adams ordered. Prepare quantum torpedoes for launch. Her weapons. Officer, Lieutenant Danny Cole, worked at controls that used technology the Navy officially didn't possess. Torpedoes armed and ready, Captain. Fire. The ocean around the submarine lit up as weapons that could travel through space and water launched toward the alien fleet. The torpedoes moved faster than light itself, using quantum tunneling technology that humans had discovered by accident while studying alien engines. In space, Admiral Korath watched in horror as his flagship's shields simply failed. The human weapons passed through their defenses like they weren't even there. Explosions tore through his ship's hull as the impossible torpedoes found their targets. All ships, retreat to safe distance, Korath ordered. We need to reassess the situation. But retreating was not as easy as the Admiral hoped. From the moon's hidden side, Commander Lisa Strong activated weapons that had been built into lunar mining stations. The aliens discovered that humans had not just been to their moon, they had fortified it. Lunar defense batteries online, Strong reported to Morrison. Targeting alien ships attempting to retreat. More beams of energy, these ones powerful enough to crack asteroids, reached out toward the fleeing Catherian vessels. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds found themselves outgunned by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Dr. Amy Chen stood in her new command center, no longer hiding her true role. For 20 years, she had been one of the lead scientists on the Prometheus project. Her job had been to study alien technology and find ways to improve it. Colonel Morrison, she said into her communicator. I'm reading massive energy buildups in the alien fleet. They're preparing something big. Morrison studied his tactical displays. The aliens were pulling back, but they weren't retreating. They were regrouping for a larger attack. What are they planning? He asked. Amy's instruments showed power readings unlike anything they had seen before. I think they're going to try to crack the planet, she said. They have weapons that can split continents. Morrison felt ice in his veins. Earth's defenses were good, but could they stop weapons that could destroy worlds? Dr. Barnes, he called. We need the big guns. In Colorado, Helen Barnes smiled grimly. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but she was ready. Deep beneath her facility, the most secret project of all was coming online. Activating Project Sunfire, Barnes announced. Hidden in asteroid belts throughout the solar system, weapons that looked like mining equipment began to reveal their true nature. These were not just orbital defense platforms. These were weapons designed to fight capital ships, weapons that used the power of stars themselves. Admiral Korath watched his tactical display with growing alarm. More human weapons were appearing every minute. His fleet, which had seemed overwhelmingly powerful when they arrived, was now outnumbered and outgunned. Sir, his communications officer said, we're receiving a message from the human planet. Put it through, Korath ordered. President Amanda Hayes appeared on the alien ship's main screen. Behind her stood General Rodriguez and other human leaders. Her voice was calm but firm. "Admiral Korath," she said, "you came here expecting to find a helpless world. Instead, you've found Earth. We've been waiting for visitors like you for a long time. We've been preparing." Korath leaned forward in his command chair. "Your defenses are impressive, but you cannot match the full might of the Catharian Empire. Surrender now, and some of your people may survive." President Hayes smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Admiral," she said, "you still don't understand. You scanned our world and saw what we wanted you to see. You counted our weapons and saw only the ones we left visible. You measured our technology and found only what we allowed you to find." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are not the primitives you thought we were. We are not helpless. We are human, and we have been preparing for this fight since before you were born." The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Korath staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders. The human defenses had stopped their first attack completely. Now it was time to see what else Earth was hiding. The battle for humanity's future was just beginning. Admiral Korath's rage burned hotter than a dying star. No one had ever humiliated the Catharian Empire like this. No primitive world had ever made his fleet retreat. His honor demanded blood. "Prepare the planet crackers," he ordered his weapons. "Officers, I don't care about slaves or resources anymore. I want that world turned to dust." Around his flagship, the largest weapons in the Catharian arsenal began to charge. These were the tools used to destroy rebellious planets. Weapons that could split continents and boil oceans. The humans had shown they could fight, but they could not survive this. "Sir, energy readings from the human world are off the scale," his science officer reported. "They're powering up something massive." Korath laughed bitterly. "Let them. Number. Primitive technology can match the power of a planet cracker." He was wrong. Deep beneath Colorado, Dr. Helen Barnes watched as Project Sunfire reached full power. The facility around her hummed with energy that could power entire cities. But this energy was not meant for cities. It was meant for war. "All stations report ready," Barnes said to Colonel Morrison. "Project Sunfire is online and targeting." Morrison studied the tactical display showing the alien fleet. The enemy ships were massive, but they had one weakness. They had gathered together to concentrate their firepower. That made them a perfect target. "Dr. Chen, what's the status on our stellar array?" Morrison asked. Amy Chen looked at readings that would have seemed impossible just hours before. Around the solar system, weapons platforms disguised as research stations were focusing the power of the sun itself into coherent beams. "Solar collection at 98%, Chen reported. "We can fire on your command." Morrison took a deep breath. What they were about to do had never been attempted before. Human engineering combined with alien technology, powered by the fusion fire of Earth's own star. "Fire," he ordered. The sky lit up with Earth fire, beams of concentrated solar energy, focused and amplified by human technology, reached out toward the alien fleet. The weapons moved at the speed of light itself. There was no time to dodge, no time to raise shields, no time to escape. The first beam struck Admiral Korath's flagship dead center. The alien ship's shields, designed to stop any known weapon, simply ceased to exist. The hull, made from materials stronger than diamond, melted like ice in a furnace. In seconds, the pride of the Catharian fleet was reduced to glowing vapor. More beams followed. Each one found its target with perfect accuracy. Ships that had conquered 100 worlds died in moments, their crews never knowing what had killed them. "Impossible," whispered the science officer aboard one of the surviving alien vessels. "They're using stellar power as a weapon." How did they learn to do that? The answer lay in 50 years of human curiosity and engineering. When the first alien ship had crashed on Earth, human scientists had not just copied its technology, they had studied it, understood it, and then made it better. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first true warship. The vessel looked like it had been built from pieces of alien ships, because it had been, but human engineers had improved every system, every weapon, every defense. All ships, this is Captain Mitchell. She broadcast to the hidden human fleet. Time to show ourselves. Around Earth's orbit, ships that had been disguised as space stations and defunct satellites revealed their true nature. Dozens of human warships, each one a masterpiece of hybrid technology, moved to engage the surviving alien vessels. The Defiance led the charge. Its weapons fired beams of energy that burned brighter than stars. Its shields turned aside alien fire like rain. Its engines moved the ship faster than anything the Catherians had ever built. General Pete Rodriguez watched the battle from his command center beneath Washington. For 30 years, he had planned for this moment. Every secret facility, every hidden weapon, every piece of stolen alien technology had led to this. "Sir, we're getting reports from Mars Base," his communications officer announced. Rodriguez smiled. Mars Base was one of humanity's most carefully hidden secrets. What the public thought was a failed colony was actually a military fortress. "Put them through," Rodriguez ordered. "This is Commander Frank Davis at Mars Defense Command," came the voice from the Red Planet. "We have 30 enemy ships trying to escape through the outer system. Permission to engage." "Permission granted," Rodriguez replied. "Show them there's nowhere to run." On Mars, weapons that had been hidden beneath fake mining equipment opened fire. The aliens discovered that humanity had not just fortified Earth. They had fortified the entire solar system. Admiral Korath, aboard one of the few surviving command ships, watched his fleet die around him. In less than an hour, the greatest invasion force in Catherian history had been reduced to scattered survivors. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked his tactical officer. 47 out of 200, sir," came the grim reply. "And we're still taking losses." Korath stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were winning, decisively. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human commander," his communications officer reported. "Put it through," Korath said. General Rodriguez appeared on the alien ship's screen. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard as steel. "Admiral Korath," Rodriguez said, "your invasion has failed. Your fleet is broken. But you still have a choice. Surrender now, and we will spare the lives of your remaining crews." Korath's pride screamed at him to fight to the death. But his duty was to his people, not his ego. He looked around his bridge at the young officers who served under him. They deserved a chance to live. "What are your terms?" Korath asked quietly. "Complete surrender," Rodriguez replied. "Your ships will stand down and prepare to be boarded. Your crews will be treated according to the laws of war. You will provide us with information about other Catherian operations in this part of the galaxy." Korath was silent for a long moment. Then he activated his fleet communications. "All ships, this is Admiral Korath," he said. "Cease fire and prepare for surrender. The battle is over." One by one, the surviving alien ships powered down their weapons. The first invasion of Earth had lasted less than 6 hours. It was also the last. Captain Tony Garcia led his squadron in a victory lap around Earth's orbit. Below them, the blue planet continued to turn peacefully, its people safe under the protection of weapons they had never known existed. "Control, this is Squadron Leader Garcia," he said into his radio. "The sky is clear. Repeat, the sky is clear." In her lunar command center, Commander Lisa Strong watched the alien surrender with satisfaction. The weapons she commanded had helped save not just Earth, but human civilization itself. "All lunar batteries stand down," she ordered. "Maintain watch, but hold fire." Dr. Amy Chen stood in her laboratory, looking at the data from the battle. The weapons that had saved Earth were beyond anything humans should have been able to build. But they had built them anyway, because that was what humans did. They took the impossible and made it work. Colonel Morrison, she said into her communicator, the alien technology we captured today will advance human science by decades, maybe centuries. Morrison nodded, though she could not see him. Good. We're going to need every advantage we can get. Why? Chen asked. We won. The invasion is over. Morrison looked at the star charts on his display. Earth was safe, but the galaxy was vast. There were other alien empires out there, other threats that might come for humanity. This was just the beginning, Dr. Morrison said. Today we proved we can defend ourselves. Tomorrow we start learning how to take the fight to them. The age of humanity hiding in the shadows was over. The age of human expansion into the galaxy was about to begin, and the universe would never be the same. 3 days after the battle, President Amanda Hayes stood before the cameras of the world. Behind her, through the windows of the White House, people could see human warships openly flying through Earth's skies for the first time in history. My fellow Americans and citizens of Earth, she began. It is time you learned the truth about our world and our place in the universe. Around the globe, billions of people watched as their leader revealed secrets that had been hidden for 50 years. The crashed ships in Nevada, the reverse-engineered technology, the secret weapons that had saved them all. For decades, we have known that we are not alone, President Hayes continued. We have been preparing for the day when visitors would come to our world. That day came this week, and we were ready. In a secure facility beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colonel Morrison watched the broadcast with his team. Lisa Campbell and Rick Powell sat beside him, no longer hiding their true roles as defenders of Earth. Think people will handle the truth? Lisa asked. Morrison smiled. They're human. They'll adapt. They always do. On the screen, President Hayes was introducing the world to General Rodriguez and Dr. Helen Barnes. For the first time, the architects of Earth's defense could show their faces to the public. The weapons that saved us were built by human hands, the president said. The technology that defeated the invasion was created by human minds. We did not just survive this attack, we won it decisively. Across the solar system, the captured alien survivors were learning just how thoroughly they had been defeated. Admiral Korath sat in a detention facility that was more comfortable than most alien ships. His captors treated him with respect, but they made sure he understood his situation. You want to know how we did it, said Dr. Amy Chen, who was leading the interrogation. It was not really a question. Korath nodded slowly. Your technology should not exist. We scanned your world thoroughly. We saw primitive rockets and basic computers. Amy smiled. You saw what we wanted you to see. Admiral, do you know what makes humans different from other species? Enlighten me, Korath said. We don't just copy things, Amy explained. We improve them. When your scout ships started visiting our system 50 years ago, we knew this day would come, so we prepared. We took your technology and made it better. She showed him a holographic display of a human fusion reactor. Your people use fusion for power. We use it too, but we make it burn hotter and cleaner. Your ships have energy shields. Ours can stop weapons you've never imagined. Korath stared at the display. How did you hide all of this from our scanners? Stealth technology, Amy said. We learned it from studying your cloaking devices. Then, we made it better, much better. The interrogation continued for hours. Korath learned that humanity had not just prepared for invasion, they had prepared for war among the stars. The weapons that had destroyed his fleet were just the beginning. On Mars, Commander Frank Davis stood in the observation deck of the Red Planet's main base. The facility around him stretched for miles underground. Factories that built starships, laboratories that developed new weapons, training centers that prepared soldiers for battles among distant suns. Sir, we have incoming ships, his radar operator announced. Davis looked at the display with interest. The ships approaching Mars were not human or Catharian. They were something else entirely. Unknown vessels. This is Mars Defense Command, Davis broadcast. State your identity and purpose. The reply came in broken English, transmitted by beings who had clearly learned the language recently. Please, we mean no harm, the alien voice said. We are refugees from the Catharian Empire. We heard what happened here. We heard that someone finally defeated them. Davis frowned. Refugees. This was unexpected. You are cleared to approach, he said. But maintain your distance until we can verify your intentions. The refugee ships were small and damaged. Clearly, they had been running for a long time. When they landed at the Mars spaceport, the beings who emerged were unlike anything humans had seen before. They called themselves the Zalani. They were tall and thin, with silver skin and large eyes. Their leader, a female named Sira, spoke for her people. We have been fleeing the Catharian Empire for 20 years, she told Davis through a translation device. They destroyed our homeworld, enslaved our people. We thought no one could stop them. Davis nodded sympathetically. The Catharians won't be threatening anyone for a while. Their invasion fleet is destroyed or captured. Sira's eyes widened. You destroyed an entire Catharian fleet. How is that possible? Davis smiled. We're human. Impossible is what we do. Back on Earth, the world was still coming to terms with the truth about their defenders. The secret space program was no longer secret. The hidden weapons were openly displayed in military parades. Children looked up at skies filled with human starships and dreamed of adventures among distant stars. Dr. Helen Barnes stood in her laboratory, now open to the public for the first time. Reporters and scientists from around the world toured the facilities that had saved humanity. Dr. Barnes, one reporter asked, what's next for the Prometheus project? Barnes looked at the star charts on her wall. Each point of light represented a possible destination for human expansion. The galaxy is a big place, she said. There are other species out there who need our help. Other worlds that could benefit from human technology and human values. She paused, thinking about the refugees on Mars and the intelligence they were gathering from captured Catharian computers. We're not going to hide anymore, Barnes continued. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars, and we're going to make sure no other species has to face what we faced alone. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Defiance, now openly patrolling Earth's orbital space. Her ship was no longer hidden. It was a symbol of human power and human determination. Captain, her communications officer announced, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. Put it through, Mitchell said. General Rodriguez appeared on the main screen. Captain, we have a new mission for you. Long-range reconnaissance to the Catharian home system. We need to know what we're dealing with out there. Mitchell nodded. When do we leave? As soon as you're ready, Rodriguez replied. And Captain, you won't be going alone. We're sending a full battle group. For the first time in human history, Earth's children were going to the stars, not as explorers or refugees, but as liberators. The galaxy would soon learn what humanity was truly capable of. Admiral Korath, watching from his detention cell, saw the human preparations and felt something he had never experienced before, hope, not for himself or his empire, but for the future. These humans were different from any species he had ever encountered. They were not conquerors seeking dominion. They were protectors seeking justice. Perhaps, he thought, the galaxy would be better off under human guidance. Colonel Morrison stood in his command center, now expanded to coordinate not just Earth's defense, but humanity's expansion into space. Lisa Campbell worked beside him, tracking not just threats to Earth, but opportunities throughout the galaxy. Sir, Rick Powell called from his station. We're getting reports from our deep space scouts. 15 more refugee fleets are asking for sanctuary. They've all heard about what happened here. Morrison smiled. The galaxy was full of species that had been oppressed by empires like the Catharians. Now they had somewhere to run. They had humanity to protect them. Tell them they're welcome, Morrison said. And tell them we have room for everyone who comes. In peace. He looked at the main display, which now showed not just Earth, but the entire solar system. Human bases on Mars and the Moon. Human ships patrolling the asteroid belt. Human colonies being planned for distant stars. The age of human expansion had begun, and it would be an age of liberation, not conquest. President Hayes concluded her address to the world with words that would be remembered for generations. Today we learned that we are not alone in the universe. We learned that there are those who would threaten our freedom and our way of life. But we also learned something else. We learned that when humanity stands together, when we combine our knowledge and our courage, there is no challenge we cannot overcome. She paused, looking directly into the camera. To any who would threaten Earth or her children, know this: we are human, we are ready, and we are not afraid. Outside the White House, human children played in parks while human warships flew overhead. The ships were no longer hidden. They were a promise to the world and a warning to the galaxy. Earth was defended. Humanity was united. And the stars were calling. The garden was secure, and humanity was ready to tend the galaxy.